My parents gave the house I paid for to my sister, so I let the bank destroy it. Hi there, I'm Michael, I'm 35 years old, and I'm writing this from my new house while my younger sister is probably dealing with bank lawyers right now. But before we get to the juicy part, let me tell you how I ended up in this situation that seems straight out of a soap opera. I come from a family where I was always the responsible son, while my sister Sophia, 3 years younger than me, was the princess who could never do anything wrong. I was the one who had to set an example, work hard and be the man of the house since I was 15. My dad has a small auto repair shop that barely makes ends meet, and my mom works cleaning houses. We're not poor, but we're definitely not swimming in money either. I had to work from a very young age. I started helping at my dad's shop on weekends, then got part-time jobs during high school. While I was busting my ass saving every dollar, Sophia was focused on her art studies. And by art studies, I mean partying and changing majors every semester like people change clothes. College was a constant struggle. I worked nights at a gas station and studied engineering during the day. My parents couldn't afford my education, so everything came out of my pocket. Sophia, of course, had a scholarship for being artistically talented, a scholarship she lost in her second year for skipping classes, but my parents kept paying for her. College because the poor girl needs to find her path. Ah, how nice when you find your path at someone else's expense, right? After graduating, I got a good job at a construction company. I wasn't a millionaire, but I made enough to live comfortably. During this time, my parents started having serious financial problems. Dad's shop wasn't generating enough income, Mom had to stop working due to health issues, and on top of that, they had to keep supporting Sophia, who was now on her 6th college major. One night I came to visit them and found them going through bank papers with long faces. Turns out they were 3 months behind on the mortgage for the house where we grew up. The house isn't a mansion, but it's decent. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a small backyard. For them, it represented their entire life savings. "Son," my mum said with tears in her eyes, "we don't know what to do. The bank is threatening to take our house." My dad, who had always been proud, could barely look me in the eye. We tried to get a loan, but with the shop's situation, without thinking twice, I told them I'd take care of it. I talked to the bank, put the house in my name to refinance the mortgage with better terms, and started making the monthly payments. It was about $200 a month. Not pocket change, but manageable for me, because of course if there's a family problem, who else is going to solve it but the son who always does everything right? For 3 years I religiously paid that mortgage. I was never even a day late. My parents lived there without paying rent, obviously, because it was their house. Well, technically it wasn't anymore, but I would never charge my own parents rent to live there. The problem started when Sophia finally graduated from her 8th major, communications this time. She came home all excited saying she'd met a wonderful boyfriend named Ricardo, who had lots of plans and they were going to get married soon. Ricardo turned out to be a 28-year-old guy who'd never held a steady job and made his living trading cryptocurrencies on his computer. Basically, an unemployed guy with delusions of grandeur. But Sophia was head over heels in love, and my parents, as always, supported her in everything. When they announced they were getting married, my parents immediately started talking about where the lovebirds would live. "Well, there's space here in the house," my mom said, "while they get something of their own." I didn't say anything at the time, but I thought it was strange that nobody asked my opinion, considering I was the one paying for the house. The wedding was a circus. My parents spent their meager savings on a party that cost more than they made in 6 months. I contributed $2,000 because, well, she's my sister, and I wanted her to be happy. Ricardo, of course, didn't put in a dime because his investments were at a delicate moment. Delicate. Investments, sure. Like betting on red at roulette is also a delicate investment. After the wedding, Sophia and Ricardo moved into the family home temporarily. Temporarily became 6 months, then a year. Ricardo couldn't find work because everything was below his standards. And Sophia didn't work because she was focusing on supporting her husband in his entrepreneurial career. Meanwhile, I kept paying the mortgage, plus the expenses that had increased considerably, with 2 more. People living there. Electricity, water, food, everything had gone up. When I very discreetly mentioned this to my mom, she said, "Oh, son, she's your sister. Family is family." The straw that broke the camel's back came last year. I arrived at the house on a Sunday to have lunch with my parents like I did every week. and found that they had redecorated the entire living room. New furniture, new TV, everything very nice. Where did the money for this come from? I asked, genuinely curious. Ricardo got a good return on his investments, my dad explained proudly, and wanted to surprise the family. Something didn't add up. Sophia and Ricardo didn't have money to pay for their own food, but suddenly they could redecorate the entire living room? How curious how Ricardo's investments only bear fruit when it comes to spending money, but never for becoming independent. That same afternoon, while my parents were preparing lunch, I heard Sophia talking on the phone in the backyard. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but I was right outside the window. "Yes, honey," Sophia was saying. "My parents already agreed that we're staying permanently. The house is perfect for us. It's a good size and the location is excellent. No, we don't have to pay anything. Michael takes care of all that." My blood ran cold. Stay permanently? My parents had already decided that without consulting me? The conversation continued. I was thinking we could remodel the master bedroom. It would be perfect for us, and your parents wouldn't mind moving to the guest room, right? They're getting old anyway. That's when my patience exploded. I went into the house and confronted my parents directly. "Is it true that you've already decided Sophia and Ricardo are staying here forever?" My mum got nervous. "Well, son, they're starting their married life and they need support. And nobody thought to ask me, the one who pays for this house." My dad got upset. "Michael, this is still our house. You help us with the payments, but you can't dictate who lives here." "Really?" I replied, feeling anger rising in my throat. "The house that's in my name, that I refinanced, that I pay religiously every month, isn't my house." Sophia and Ricardo appeared in the kitchen, obviously having heard everything. "Michael," Sophia said with that voice she used when she wanted to manipulate someone, "don't be selfish. We're family. When Ricardo and I are established, we'll obviously contribute." "When are you going to be established?" I asked. "Because you've been married for 2 years, and I haven't seen a dime of contribution yet." Ricardo, who had been quiet until then, decided to put in his 2 cents. "Bro, life isn't all about money. We're building a solid future, but these things take time. Oh yes, 2 years building a solid future from the couch of the house I pay for. What innovative architecture." The argument became more and more intense. My parents defended Sophia and Ricardo, saying I had a family obligation to help, that it was my responsibility as the older brother, and that money shouldn't separate families. Finally, my dad dropped the bomb. "Michael, if you don't like how we handle things here, you can stop paying. We'll manage on our own." I stayed quiet for a few seconds, processing what I'd just heard. Then I started laughing, a laugh that came from pure disbelief. "You know what? You're right," I said, taking out my phone. "You're going to manage on your own." Right there in front of everyone, I called the bank and cancelled the automatic mortgage payments. Then I called my lawyer and asked him to prepare documents to transfer the house back to my parents. "What are you doing?" my mom asked, alarmed. "Exactly what you told me to do. I'm getting out of this. The house goes back to being yours, and you handle the payments." The look of panic they got was epic. Suddenly, they realized that without my salary, they had no way to pay a $1,200 monthly mortgage. Ah, how quickly perspective changes when easy money runs out. "Michael, wait," my dad said. "Don't be so drastic. We can talk." "Talk?" I replied. "We already talked. You decided Sophia and Ricardo are staying, that I have to keep paying, and that my opinion doesn't count. Perfect. Now figure out how to deal with it." Sophia started crying. "Michael, you can't do this to us. Where are we going to live?" "That's not my problem anymore," I told her. "You and your husband are adults. Find jobs and a place of your own like everyone else does." Ricardo tried to mediate. "Bro, I understand you're upset, but we can reach an agreement." "The only agreement I'll accept," I interrupted, "is for you two to move out of here within a month max. If you don't, my parents will have to choose between losing the house or kicking you out. Because nothing says adult responsibility like having to choose between your son who pays the bills and the other one who only generates them." I left without saying another word. Over the next 2 weeks, I received constant calls from my mom, dad, Sophia, and even some uncles who had heard about the drama. Everyone asked me to reconsider, to be more understanding, to think about the family. Nobody, absolutely nobody, questioned why Sophia and Ricardo couldn't support themselves at 28 and 25 years old, respectively. My lawyer completed the property transfer back to my parents. When the first notices from the bank arrived for non-payment, reality hit them like a bucket of cold water. My dad called me very humbly. "Michael, son, we need to talk. We can't pay for the house without your help." "I know," I replied. "That's why I told you it was a bad idea. Could we renegotiate something?" "Sure," I told him. "Sophia and Ricardo move out, and I go back to paying for the house. It's that simple." There was a long silence. "It's just that they don't have anywhere to go." "Dad, that's not my problem. You chose to support them instead of the son who was paying for your house. Now live with the consequences." It's amazing how having nowhere to go is never a problem when someone else is paying the bills. The situation quickly became unsustainable. The bank started the foreclosure process after 3 months without payments. Sophia and Ricardo still couldn't find work, or rather, weren't seriously looking for it, and my parents went into total panic. My mum came to my apartment crying, "Michael, please help us. They're going to take the house." "What do Sophia and Ricardo say?" They're looking for options." "What options? Another relative to support them?" My mom didn't know what to answer because that was exactly the option they were looking for. That's when I found out the complete truth. Through a cousin, I learned that Sophia had been telling everyone that I was a selfish brother who had kicked them out of the house out of envy, and that Ricardo had a very important job that was about to materialize. I also found out they'd been selling some of the furniture and appliances from the house, the same ones that supposedly Ricardo had bought with his investment gains. Basically, they were stripping the house before it got taken away. Nothing says responsibility like selling furniture from a house that isn't yours to finance your parasitic lifestyle. At this point, I was completely fed up. Not only had they abused my generosity, but they were also bad-mouthing me to the whole family. I called my lawyer and asked him to investigate if there was any way to recover the money I'd invested in the house during those 3 years. Turns out there were ways, especially considering the property transfer had been to evade financial responsibilities. My lawyer explained that I could sue for those payments, plus interest plus damages. He also told me that if the house went into foreclosure, I could present myself as a creditor with better rights than the bank, considering I had documents proving all my payments. That gave me an evil idea. Update 1. It's been 2 months since my last conversation with my parents, and things have escalated in a way I didn't even expect. The bank went ahead with the foreclosure process. My parents tried to get a loan to catch up, but obviously didn't qualify. Sophia and Ricardo were still living there, now in complete panic because they realized they were really going to lose their roof. That's when Ricardo had his great idea. He showed up at my work, I don't know how he got the address, with a business plan printed on sheets he'd obviously downloaded from the internet. "Michael, bro," he said with a smile that looked like it came from a used car salesman, "I have the perfect solution for all of us." His plan was for me to invest $20,000 in his digital marketing company, and with the profits they'd pay the house mortgage. Of course, he had no clients, no experience, not even his own website. "Ricardo," I told him very seriously, "do you really think I'm going to give you $20,000 after everything that's happened? It's an investment, bro. I'll give you 20% annual interest." I laughed in his face. "You know what? I have a counteroffer. You and Sophia move out of the house immediately, get real jobs, and I'll consider helping with one last payment so my parents have time to sell the house and move to something smaller." He got upset. "It's not fair for you to pressure us like this. Sophia is pregnant." That information hit me like a bucket of cold water. "What?" "Yes, she's 3 months along. That's why we can't be going from house to house. Because, of course, having a baby when you don't have a job, your own house, or financial stability is a super responsible decision." When I confronted Sophia about this, she confirmed it was true. She was pregnant and had been hiding it because she knew how the family would react. "Sophia," I told her, "this changes things, but not the way you think. Now you have more reason to become independent and get stability." "Michael, please," she begged me, "we can't raise a baby on the street." "You're not going to raise a baby on the street. You're going to get jobs, rent a small apartment, and be responsible adults, like you should have done years ago." But it didn't end there. My parents used the pregnancy as new emotional ammunition. "Michael, you can't let your nephew be born homeless," my mom told me every day. My nephew won't be born homeless if his parents act like adults, I replied. The foreclosure date was rapidly approaching. A week before, I received a desperate call from my dad. Michael, we need to talk urgently. Come to the house. When I arrived, I found the whole family gathered. My parents, Sophia, Ricardo, and even some uncles who had come to mediate. It was obviously a planned intervention. Michael, my uncle Roberto began, we understand you're upset, but a house isn't worth more than family. You're right, uncle, I replied. A house isn't worth more than family. That's why it's so sad that my family chose to take advantage of me for 3 years. My Aunt Maria tried to change the focus. Son, we've all made mistakes, but Sophia is going to be a mother. Are you really going to let your nephew suffer for the adult's mistakes? The only one who's going to make my nephew suffer is his father, who refuses to work, and his mother, who prefers to depend on others instead of being independent. It's incredible how, when they can't win you over with logic, they pull out the think of the children card. The intervention lasted 3 hours. They accused me of being selfish, spiteful, materialistic, and even a bad Christian, but none, absolutely none, questioned why Sophia and Ricardo hadn't looked for work in 2 years. At the end of the meeting, I stood up and said, I have a final proposal. I recover the house, put it in my name again, and let you live there with one condition. Sophia and Ricardo pay $500 monthly rent, plus their proportional share of utilities. Nothing free. The silence that followed was deafening. But we don't have jobs, Ricardo stammered. Then get one. You have a week to find work before the house is lost. $500 is a lot, Sophia protested. $500 is less than half what a 2-bedroom apartment costs in this area. It's a bargain. My parents looked torn between accepting my offer and defending Sophia. Finally, my dad asked, what if they can't get the money? Then they move out and you two can stay without paying rent. But only you two. Ah, what a difficult decision. Keep the irresponsible children or save the family home. The dilemma of the century. Update 2. You won't believe what happened next. Turns out my final proposal was rejected because Sophia and Ricardo considered it humiliating, and my parents didn't want to force their pregnant daughter to work. So I let things follow their natural course. The foreclosure day arrived right on time. Bank officials showed up at the house with all the legal documentation, but here comes the interesting part. I also showed up with my lawyer and my documentation as a creditor. See, my lawyer had been working on this for weeks. We had receipts for all the payments I'd made for 3 years, plus legal expenses, plus calculated interest. The total came to over $45,000. When the bank representative saw my documentation, he realized I had better rights to the property than they did. Basically, my 3 years of payments gave me legal priority over the bank's debt. The look on my family's face when they realized what was happening was priceless. Not only were they going to lose the house, but I was going to legally recover it. Michael, my mum screamed, what are you doing? Exactly what you told me to do, I replied calmly. I'm managing on my own. My lawyer explained the situation. I could take immediate possession of the property, and they had 30 days to vacate voluntarily or legal eviction would proceed. Sophia became hysterical. You can't do this. I'm pregnant. It's inhumane. What's inhumane, I replied, is taking advantage of your brother for years and then acting like a victim when there are consequences. Ricardo tried to negotiate. Michael, bro, we can work something out. Give us a chance. You already had 2 years of chances. They're over. It's fascinating how give us a chance always means let us keep taking advantage of you. My parents were devastated, but there was something in their eyes that told me they finally understood the magnitude of what had happened. My dad pulled me aside and said, Michael, I know we made mistakes, but isn't there a way to fix this? There is, I replied. You two can stay, but Sophia and Ricardo leave. Now. She's our daughter, and I'm your son, the son who paid for this house for 3 years while you allowed others to take advantage of my generosity. In the end, my parents made a decision that surprised me. That same night, they came to my apartment. Michael, my mum said with tears in her eyes, you're right. We haven't been fair to you. My dad added, we talked to Sophia and Ricardo. They have 2 weeks to find another place. Really, we're tired of their excuses. If they're going to be parents, they need to learn to be responsible. 2 days later, I received a furious call from Sophia. "Michael, you're a monster. You forced our parents to kick us out." I didn't force anyone. Our parents finally opened their eyes. "I'm pregnant and you're leaving me homeless. I'm leaving you without a free house. There's a difference. You know." "What?" "I hope when you have children, someone does the same to you." "When I have children," I replied, "I'm going to educate them to be independent, not parasites." It's incredible how being responsible becomes being a monster in certain people's minds. Update 3 final. It's been 6 months since I recovered the house, and I want to tell you how all this ended. Sophia and Ricardo did move out, not because they wanted to, but because my parents finally set boundaries. They went to live with Ricardo's mom in a 1-bedroom apartment in a not-so-great area of town. The baby was born 2 months ago. He's a beautiful boy, and yes, I've already met him. His name is Diego, and to be honest, seeing him softened my heart a little. But that doesn't mean I'm going to go back to doing things like before. The interesting thing is that fatherhood changed Ricardo's perspective. Suddenly, having a baby crying at 3 a.m. and diapers to buy made him realize he needed real money, not fantasy profits from cryptocurrencies. He got a job at a call center. It's not his dream job, but it's a stable salary. Sophia also had to look for work, from home, babysitting neighbors' kids, while taking care of her own. Between the two of them, they make about $2,500 a month. It's not much, but it's the first time in their lives they're supporting themselves. My parents continued living in the house. I went back to taking care of the mortgage payments, but now we have a formal contract. The house is in my name. They live there without paying rent, but with the explicit condition that they can't bring anyone else in without my authorization. "What if Sophia needs emergency help?" my mom asked when we signed the contract. "Then we discussed the specific case," I replied, "but the days of free housing for capable adults are over." What a revolutionary concept, helping in real emergencies instead of supporting functional adults. The relationship with Sophia has gradually improved. At first she hated me, but over time she's realized that forcing her to be independent was the best thing that could have happened to her. She called me a month ago to thank me. "I know I hated you at the time," she said, "but you're right. We needed to learn to support ourselves." How does it feel to be independent? It's scary, but it also feels good. For the first time in my life, I know I can take care of my family without depending on anyone. Ricardo has also changed. He no longer talks about investments or business plans. He works, comes home, takes care of his son, and repeats a simple but stable life. 2 weeks ago, they asked to borrow money for a deposit on a bigger apartment. This time it was a real request. They showed me the place, explained why they needed to move, gave me a payment plan, and offered interest. I lent them $2,000 with a formal promissory note. They've already paid me the first installment on time. The lesson from all this is simple. Sometimes the greatest help you can give someone is to stop helping them. Supporting capable adults isn't love, it's codependency. And codependency doesn't help anyone grow. My parents finally understood this. "We thought we were being good parents by supporting Sophia," my dad told me recently. "But we were actually preventing her from growing." My mom added, "With you, we were very hard from a young age, always demanding responsibility. With Sophia, we were too permissive. Neither extreme was good. Today, I have a healthy relationship with my entire family. Sophia and Ricardo come for dinner on Sundays with the baby. My parents are comfortable in their house. And I learned that setting boundaries doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you a person who respects themselves. And that, dear readers, is how family drama gets resolved, with clear boundaries, real consequences, and a little tough love. And that's all for today. What do you think about this story? Do you think Michael did the right thing, or did he go too far? Leave me your comments below. I love reading your perspectives and similar experiences. If you like this story, don't forget to give this video a like. That helps me a lot to keep bringing you content like this. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you won't miss any of the dramatic stories I upload every week. Also, share this video with that person who always has some freeloading relative. We all know someone like that, right? And speaking of incredible stories, look what's appearing on screen now. You have another equally crazy story where a woman discovers her husband was lying to her about absolutely everything. You can't miss it. Just click on the screen and get ready for another emotional roller coaster. See you in the next video, and remember, sometimes the best revenge is simply letting people face the consequences of their own decisions. Until next time.